Alright, so welcome to Unit 4, Lesson 6. It'll be 4.6 video notes. The topic of this video will be writing equations in slope-intercept forms. Previously, we reviewed graphing equations in slope-intercept form, and then graphing equations in standard forms. Now, you will be given a graph, and now you'll be writing equations for them. Alright. So let's move on by having us write our names, date, and period. Again, pause the video, take this time to write them down. When you are ready, come back to the video and we will start. So you don't have to write everything down for this one, but I'm also going to talk some things. So in this lesson, we use our knowledge about slope-intercept form to come up with the equation based on a graph they've given us. So basically, you'll be given a graph, something like this, maybe like this, and using what you know about slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, you are now going to come up with the equation for the line. We have done this before. There are some new things, so please, whenever you're lost, always pause the video, write down the questions, and when I grade them, I will definitely give you extra points for that. Or you can ask me questions during class, okay? So just a brief review. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Now, this is something that we should all know now. M stands for the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Again, m is a slope, b is the y-intercept. This is also around the classroom, posted in a paper for you to remember. So there should be no excuse for you not knowing what m stands for and what b stands for. All right? And you're going to be using this a lot for this lesson as well. Okay, so example number 1, writing equations in slope-intercept form. If you look at the letter A, we have to write an equation for this blue line in slope-intercept form. And we know that slope-intercept form, let's always start by writing the formula y equals mx plus b. And for part A, you need to find the slope and the y-intercept, right? I always start usually by finding the y-intercept. I even wrote it in the steps where you want to start graphing by plotting the y-intercept, right? So why don't we write the equation by finding the y-intercept first? And y-intercept will be the point where the graph crosses the y-axis, and right there, it's 0, 5. That's our slope-intercept point. And then we need to find our slope m. And this is actually, basically, they found the slope for us, and we just have to write it as a fraction form. This is right 2 and down 3. So I wrote it up here, and you can do the same. You can write that this is right 2 and down 3. Now, if you write it as a fraction, it's not 2 over negative 3, because up or down has to be the top number. Since you're going down 3, it's going to be negative 3 will go on the top. Down 3, minus 3. Over, it's going to be right 2, which is positive, and left or right goes on the bottom, so positive 2. Our slope is negative 3 over 2. And again, that can be written as negative in the middle, 3 over 2. Or you can also write it as 3 over negative 2. Remember that. So if I write it as a slope-intercept form, y equals, the slope is negative 3 over 2, x plus the y-intercept. I'm not going to write it as a point. I'm just going to take that 5 y-intercept, 5. So our answer is y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 5. Now, you can try this, the next one on your own, part B. If you can do it, just go for it. Okay, otherwise you can come back and check the answer. So let's keep going. Part B. Now let's look at part B. Part B is that blue line, and we also need to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. And I always, like I said, start by finding the y-intercept. Y-intercept is where that blue line is crossing the y-axis, and it's crossing at 0, -3. So that's our point, a y-intercept. And now we need to find a slope. So if you were to write it as a direction, this will be right 3 and up 5. Now let's write the slope in the fraction form. Since up or down, that's the top number, it's up 5, so that's going to be +5, and right 3, +3. So if I write the equation, y equals the slope 5 over 3x, and the y-intercept, again, we're not going to write it as the way it looks. It's the y-intercept, we're going to write it as just -3. And that's our answer to part B. And check. For part A, the line is going down from left to right, so slope should be negative. Puff, puff, positive for this one. Part B, the line is going up, so this is puff, puff, positive. Remember the slope, dude. And then this one is nice, negative. So negative slope for part A, which is -3 over 2. So we got it correct. Positive slope is 5/3, and this is puff, puff, positive. So that's how we can check that we are correct. All right. If you look at your paper, it says for the next part, on your own. And the problem is to write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form. For these two graphs, you are going to write the equation in slope-intercept form on your own. So number 1, number 2, you're going to pause the video and write the equations. Then you're going to come back to check your answers. Okay? So again, pause the video, try them on your own. Okay, so if you're back, that means you've done the problems and now you're checking the answer. Here are the answers to the problems. Sorry, this should be -4 over 3 in case you can't see that clearly. When you're finding the slope, couple things, you could use a graph to find a slope, or as a review, I could have you find a slope using 2 points. You have 1, 4, 0, 2. Sometimes you're not going to be given a graph. I am not going to give you a graph. And that means you need to find a slope using the 2 points. And if I can just briefly show you, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So always start with the second numbers first. I'm going to do 4 minus 2. Those are the y. This is y2 minus y1. And then look at the x values, the first numbers of each point, 1 and 0. Since I started with the 4, now I'm going to start with 1, and it's going to be 1 minus 0. That gives you 2 over 1, and the slope is 2. And that's why I have m equal 2. Same thing for that one. You can use the points to find a slope. You have 0, -1, and you have 3, -5. Subtract the y value as a second number, so you could do -1 minus -5, or switch the order, -5 minus -1. -5 minus, the second number is also negative, so put that in the parentheses, all over. Now I started with this point, so I have to start with 3 now, 3 minus 0. If you do that, -5 minus -1 is -4, and 3 minus 0 is 3. So your slope is -4/3, which should be the same as the slope you get from the graph. Okay, so that's the end of video lesson number 1. Please write down any questions you have for me. If you ask me in class next time, that would be great, or you could just write them down for extra points. Okay, I'll see you in video number 2.